Thank you, Michelle. Really nice to be here. This will be fun.
It's going to be so much fun. So excited. So Jill, I think it's really cool because you have been a pioneer in some respects of internet dating. Like internet dating 20 years ago, basically, was not so much of a thing as it is now, right?
Right, exactly. There was a big stigma around internet dating. It was brand new. People were unsure about it. And I don't know, I always thought it was a great idea. I always thought it was the most efficient thing ever to be able to just go online and look at a bunch of profiles, and it's like shopping. Like, I want one of you and one of you. It made a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it does make a lot of sense. And I also think it's hard to overestimate the possibilities that exist right now. So there's a principle in investing and sometimes in marketing that says when everyone else is zigging, you zag. So when it comes to investing, it's like if everybody's buying right now, you might want to sell, or if everyone's selling right now, you might want to buy. So like, for example, right now the stock market's down. Many people think that's the stock market being on sale and that's a great time to invest. So the reason I'm bringing, rather than zag and sell because you've lost money. So the reason I'm bringing that up is there's a lot of people that maybe not so many of the people here because you're all engaged for a reason, but there's a lot of people out there in the world that have kind of decided to kind of give up on dating for a period of time. And yet what has really inspired me, and part of the reason we're here tonight, is that a lot of my clients and a lot of the people that I'm working with are just having amazing connections, are forming amazing connections. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and how some of the ways you might be able to do that. I also noticed that when I asked earlier in the event, what some of your questions were, several of the questions that were sent in were around internet dating, making connections and continuing connections at this time. So we're going to talk about some ideas around that. So that's kind of where we're going to start tonight, ladies. So this is also a great opportunity. Just want to remind you to any questions about internet dating or anything like that. Jill has, like I said, basically 20 years of experience in this industry. So it would be a great opportunity if you want to ask her some questions, and we'll take some Q&A at the end. But just to start out, I wanted to just share a little bit about what's happening for some of my clients and some of the women that I'm in contact with through the operation of my business. I have a couple of clients who were internet dating, and I always help my private clients get their profiles ready, help them get set up online or reboot online and start making those connections. And a couple of my clients had met men and had been on a couple of dates prior to the whole COVID thing hitting. And they're able to like continue these conversations online. In some cases, they're doing like a Zoom or a Skype or a FaceTime calls or that kind of thing. And a couple of these women even have these men who are actually taking their shopping lists and bringing them groceries right now, just so they don't have to go to the store. So they're kind of continuing the relationship in that way. I have another client who didn't even start doing online dating until after the COVID thing had hit. She's made some connections, and she's been on a couple of virtual dates, and she's even been on a couple of dates where they like went for a walk, like distancing in a park or whatever, in places where they're allowed to do that. And so there's all different kinds of ways that you can explore that. And I've even had one client who's in my Mr. Right Academy membership program write to me that said she met someone through a meetup group, not in person, but virtually, and they're forming a really deep connection and relationship through this time. So what I'm saying is love will find a way, and we're going to help you find some ways. Right, Jill?
Exactly. And I've seen and heard a lot about that too. And it's interesting. I've always been a strong proponent of video dating. And on my sites, a lot of our success stories start out being long distance. So I've been promoting video dating for years because of this, because it's a great way to really get to know somebody on a deeper level without the physical truly getting, in there yet. It's like you can't just jump in bed. play around, but it's different. It's physical in person is so different than on the video, but it's good because you can really ask questions. You can really get to know somebody, and you can share a lot of time with somebody. I did it in the past. I dated a guy for like 3 months. He was in England when I was living in Mount Shasta, and we would talk for an hour, 2, 3 at a time. We would cook dinner together. We would do all different kinds of things. We're going to get into some of that later, I know. But it was special, and it was a really good way to get to know him on a deep level without even being able to touch or kiss or anything. It was pretty amazing. It's a different experience, and I recommend it. It's not bad, ladies. It actually is pretty cool.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some ways to make it easier and some ways you can possibly get creative. And you can keep it as simple as you want, or you can, be a little fancier, just depending on what you might want to experiment with. But Jill, you bring up such a good point there, because we all know that the whole chemistry thing can sometimes create a false sense of compatibility or a premature sense of connection or intimacy. Whereas this way, due to circumstances, you might have that opportunity, or because they're long distance, you might have that opportunity to get to know someone on a deeper core level. It kind of reminds me of like people that used to, like in wartime, write each other letters, old-fashioned snail mail letters, and would fall in love via letters. This is not unheard of. So this is why I'm saying love will find a way. I mean, the world, sure, in our lifetimes, we may not have been through anything quite like this, but the world has been through challenging times, wars and other difficulties before, and love does find a way. But this is why I started this whole program at the beginning, a week or so ago, talking about to look for the possibility and the opportunity in the moment and focus on what is possible and not so much on what's not. So with that having been said, I know in Jill's interview, we went into a lot of deep detail on different aspects of just internet dating in general. But Jill, as you and I discussed yesterday, that was before we recorded that before the whole pandemic thing hit, right? So I just thought it would be fun for us to talk specifically for a while tonight about some ideas around the whole virtual dating idea, and how you might do some of that. And you might even continue to implement this as part of your strategy, even after all of the restrictions lift and that sort of thing, because it can be a really fun way to get to know someone. So I'm going to try to see if I can make my technology work here and try to share my screen here for just a minute. I made up a little acronym that I thought might be helpful, just in terms of some things to kind of think about initially if you're thinking about doing some online virtual dating. The first thing is you might want to think about where you want to be when you have your virtual date. So when I'm making videos for an event like this, or if I'm making YouTube videos or that sort of thing, I want to consider where I'm placing myself, what's behind me, what's around me, what's going to be in the frame with me. In this case, I just have a blank wall. Now, Jill, we'll tell more about her story in a minute, is living in the Virgin Islands and has this gorgeous view of the ocean outside of her house. So if she were doing a video date, she might want to, and it was during the day, she might want to have that beautiful background. But you want to kind of think about what's behind you, and also maybe what that reveals about you. Like in online dating profiles, you might have people saying that, playing a musical instrument is really attractive. Or if you have, a hobby or something, you could have something on a shelf behind you or something that represents you without it necessarily giving away a lot of your personal information if you're not comfortable with that yet. Then I think you want to think, so this acronym, by the way, spells out the word Patty's. I just used the woman's name, Patty's. Patty's rules for virtual dating. Let's just call it that.
Michelle?
Yeah.
I kind of want to jump in for the place.
Jump in anytime.
Yeah, because the place, I wouldn't necessarily want to show my beautiful background, ocean view, that I live right on the ocean or the sea. It's the Caribbean Sea here. because I wouldn't necessarily want them to think, oh, she's got money or something like that. Like I don't want to give away that too much yet. I want to make sure their intentions are pure and not show them certain things, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and that's a really good point. So that's why you want to be mindful about what you have in your background. And in your case, giving that impression, even though you have this gorgeous view, that very well could make a man think, you know, she's doing all right for herself. And so, yeah, you want to think about what you're revealing about yourself from the background. But maybe a hobby or something, a musical instrument, if you play one or something like that, that tells a little something about yourself would be fine. Or like me, I just have a blank wall behind me. So whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you feel like you might want to give someone some insight on. Part of this also is going to depend on how well you've already started to get to know someone. But if they're strangers, and the last last word on here is safety, your safety always needs to be first and foremost in your mind. Okay, so the next thing you want to think about is the activity. What is it that you might want to do on this little date? Are you just going to have a conversation? We're going to have some ideas on activities in just a minute, so bear with us on that. But you kind of want to think about what you're planning to do. You and your date can kind of plan something. The tools, by tools, I mean like what technology are you going to use? Whether you're going to use your cell phone, whether you're going to use a camera on your computer, whether you're going to use WhatsApp, whether you're going to use FaceTime, Zoom, Skype. Think about what tools are going to work for you. And if you need to get a little bit of technology support, there's a lot of people out there, or even videos on YouTube that can help you with a lot of that to make it really, really easy. And Jill and I were talking about this yesterday and then a little bit before we met today. And we were also talking about how if you want to keep your hands free and also maybe get a good camera angle, it's always nice to have the camera just slightly a little bit higher than your face level, because it tends to be more flattering to the face. You don't look like you have 3 chins. And so we talked about some tools that you might use. I'm going to show this the best I can. This is like a little tripod that you can put a cell phone on. So this could totally free up your hands depending on what you wanted to do, and you can set it on a table or a surface. So if you're communicating via cell phone, you don't have to hold the phone in your hands. And this is like $13.99 on Amazon. You can just do like cell phone tripod, and it's pretty handy. It even has a little remote control that you can actually take pictures with or record video with or anything like that. So it's pretty cool. And Jill brought up the fact that you could also do a lot with just like a selfie stick. You have your selfie stick, Jill?
I do. But am I on video? I can't see that.
You are.
Okay. So yeah, here's a demo. So, and you just hold it out. Hopefully I can't see myself what it looks like. So you just hold it out just a little above yourself, and that way you can just rest your arms, your shoulders, and just hold it there. It's still holding something, which I like Michelle's tool the best. But if you don't have that and you have a selfie stick and you're using your phone, then that's good. Otherwise, you can put your computer, like your laptop, up on a box so it's a little bit higher than you, like on a table, on a box or something, to set it up a little higher so it is angling down just slightly. You don't want it. I've seen some photos and people, they're looking way up. It's just like so much, like so extreme that it looks, to me, it's just silly. Like don't go that extreme. Just like Michelle was saying, just a little bit higher than your eyes, say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Jill. That's good to mention that. You don't want it to be like clear up here.
Yeah, and
also,
if you put it, and if it's flat, if the computer's like on the desk and you're looking down at it, then that's like really unflattering for most people. Maybe unless you're really thin, but for most women, that's really not the best angle for us.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't want to look like Jabba the Hutt with your cheeks or whatever, your chin, it's not a bad idea to have a to angle the camera, which also, it's not a bad idea. Like with this little contraption, you can also even like take a quick snapshot or a quick video of yourself to kind of see what the angle is going to look like. And that can be helpful too. So, you know, just kind of like planning a little bit of this ahead can be helpful. I just spilled my water all over the table, so bear with me. That's what happens in real life in real time. But we're, like I said, we're keeping it cash tonight.
You want me to talk about time while you clean it up?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about time.
All right. And this is Michelle's acronym. We haven't talked about this at all, but I can imagine that the time of day is what she's getting at. And that can be, you know, the best time of day is sunset. If you want like the best lighting, it's known in photography. I think I forget the name of it, but it's like the magic hour or something. And the lighting is really nice and it's very flattering. So maybe for a first date or a second date, that's not a bad idea. And you want to be awake, you want to be bright-eyed, you want to be chipper. You don't want to be, you know, just woke up in the morning, you're all craggy-eyed and that sort of thing. That's what I would say about time.
Yeah, thank you, Jill, for jumping in there. I have a wet tablecloth, but I'm good.
All right.
The other thing about time is that I think you want to kind of be cognizant of how much time you want to dedicate. If it's a first date, it's kind of like if you were meeting someone for the first time, let's just say for a coffee date, you might think, well, it's not going to be more than 45 minutes or an hour, because that's enough time to kind of decide. I'm not really big on having first dates be 2-3 hours long, because I think you can get a feel for somebody and kind of get a sense of if you're wanting to connect more from having a relatively short first date. I'm saying an hour or under. And so you just might want to be aware of that and think about that. Not that you're going to be looking at the clock every 5 minutes, but just being cognizant of the fact that you don't necessarily know someone well enough that you want to invest, you know, a half day of your life. Now, in this environment, you know, it's like sometimes we don't even know what day it is. Every day kind of seems the same during Corona. But nonetheless, you know me, ladies, I'm all about you being a woman of high value. And one aspect of that is being aware of how you invest your time, energy, attention, focus, etc. And so that's part of what I mean by time. So yourself, when I said that, I'm really thinking about like what you're comfortable in, like what you want to be dressed in, maybe a flattering color or an attractive piece of jewelry, like Jill's necklace. Jill, show your necklace.
Oh boy.
Like just something that brings attention to the face, right? That's a really beautiful piece of jewelry, a unique piece of jewelry. Just what you're going to feel comfortable in and what you feel like is going to highlight you. That's something good to think about. I mean, the joke these days is that everybody's dressed, you know, decently from the waist up and everybody's wearing sweatpants or yoga pants on the bottom. But you do want to feel like you're going to be comfortable and also that you're going to present yourself well. Because it's like if you were going on a date, you would think about what you're going to wear, right? And then I already... Go ahead, Jill.
Too about colors. Bright, solid colors work really well because they're less distracting. This one, like what I'm wearing isn't solid, so it's not ideal, but it's not, well, it's kind of distracting maybe, but so I would go with more of like a solid color and something that complements you. I like to wear blues, you're wearing maroon, it's like, whatever color, whatever that is, I can't quite tell, or plum, whatever color works for you, you know, work it, ladies. Use what works for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. A flattering color up by the face. And that's also true for your online dating photographs as well. Coloring, it can help you feel more comfortable and more confident as well. Maybe it makes your eye color pop or stands out with your hair, whatever. And you're right, Jill. I actually love prints and patterns, but they do tend to be a little bit more distracting in this kind of a setting or in a video setting. So, and go ahead.
Another thing too to think about is cleavage.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Good point.
I was just looking at our comparison here, and I've got, I don't have much, but a little bit here showing, and that can be good as, just, a little something, but not overt, not create, be yourself, in other words. So if that's you, then flaunt it a little bit. If it's not, then don't. So, but think about that too.
Yes, as a breast cancer survivor who's had a lot of reconstruction there, I don't have a lot of cleavage to show, but I'm alive. But you have to do, and you do want to be cognizant of that though, because you don't want to give the wrong idea of like really giving a guy an eyeful, because you might get a lot of attention, but it might not be quite the attention that you want. If he's not looking at your eyes and he's looking lower, you might be showing a little too much cleavage, right?
Well, and that's hard to tell on video though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and it's a good point. Like, don't go crazy, but just, be a little, just feminine is nice without being too like overtly, here are my boobs, that sort of thing.
Exactly. It's not usually what you want to lead with. No. So as far as safety goes, and those of you that have heard me teach before or talk before, I'm always saying your safety always needs to be first and foremost in your mind. And when I was talking to Jill yesterday, I was telling her that unfortunately, over the years, I've had some women share with me some very tragic experiences they've had, both in terms of meeting people online who were the kind of characters that swindled them out of money or resources, or they turned into stalkers, or there have been cases when women have told me about like revenge porn. Maybe the woman sent pictures of herself, or they videoed something, and then things got a little racy or whatever. And I just want to let you know, you're dealing with strangers out there. You don't know for sure who you're dealing with, and you just always want to make sure you err on the side of safety. And if you're on any sort of video date or virtual date or real date for that matter, and you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, it's okay to like end, exit, get out of there, because the right kind of man whose real intentions are to get to know you is going to respect or understand a woman's need for safety. We're just physically built in a way where we're more physically vulnerable. And, it's amazing sometimes how some of these characters out there can figure out so much about you by so little information. So you do want to be wise and careful about what you share, when you share, and always err on the side of safety to protect yourself. Along those lines, just one other thing I'll really quickly mention, and we don't have time to go into all the nitty-gritty of it today, but there are ways you can set up a Google phone number, which is different than your real phone number, but can ring to your cell phone. And there's a way you can actually even connect that with like WhatsApp. So even if you're wanting to kind of like even have that extra barrier, do some internet searching, watch some videos, or have someone who's techie help you with that kind of thing as well. I'm just really big on safety, and I just feel like that's really, really important. Did you have anything you want to add there, Jill?
I agree. I totally agree. And I never send a nude picture of myself, or even anything that might be too revealing, or I just don't. Even video chatting, because I know certain companies, certain 3-letter agencies record everything and save it, and you just never know when that could come back. So I'm very cautious about that myself, and I just don't do it myself, and that's me, and that's kind of what I recommend too.
Yeah, I think it's always best to err on the side of safety. And even if you're using like encryption software, Jill and I talked about this too, that supposedly helps block out third parties. If a guy could, without you even knowing it, be using video recording software. There's so many different things that can be going on. So you just want to be careful, and you don't want to necessarily reveal anything that you wouldn't want to risk having revealed to the world, so to speak. Just err on the side of safety for your own protection. So Jill, I want to shift gears now, and we can talk about some of these potential activities I just did some internet searching and also some of the things that some of my clients have done. And I know, Jill, that you've talked to people or have people that are doing some of these things too. But I just thought we could kind of run through these and share a few ideas, because I think there's a lot of different things you can do and to get creative with it and make it a lot of fun. So, you can do a virtual, have a drink together, coffee or tea. It's kind of like the online version of that first coffee date, tea date, or have a drink together. That's pretty self-explanatory, but you could have a little fun with it, brew a nice cup or have a nice glass, or, make a little bit of pomp and circumstance around it and have a little bit of fun. You could toast each other if you're having champagne, whatever. Do you have anything you want to add to that one, Jill?
No, I think I agree. It's pretty self-explanatory.
You could bake something or cook something together or have a little bake-off. Maybe you both decide you're going to do the same recipe or whatever. You have these cooking shows on TV or whatever. And if you have this little tripod thing, you can even have that in the kitchen, and you can show what you're doing as you're mixing your thing or you're cooking your thing. You can do it together while you're talking or having conversation. I mean, it's just something fun to do. There are different kinds of little trivia games. There's like some kind of card games that one of you could have a set of cards and do trivia or little questions or things like that. There's all kinds of little games you could play over online for a date. Jill, you mentioned this one. You talked about how you can watch a movie and, do commentary back and forth or whatever. And I think you even cited something that there's a way to do this on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix has a new tool where you can watch it together. So you both start it at the same time, but it's through Netflix, so it starts it at the same time. It's like a group movie watch, so you can do that for two people, and then you could be on the phone together and be, it doesn't matter what if you're not talking the whole time, you're just watching a movie together, but you could I don't know about you, but when I'm watching a movie, I'll usually make comments or, say something, or God, get out of there, or don't do that, or whatever. It just makes it more fun if you're on the phone with each other too, because then even if you're just on speakerphone or whatever, you can figure that out. But yeah, there's ways to do it on Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. There's different kinds of games you can play on apps or on the computer. There's different kinds of games. I mean, some people are more interested in that than others, but there's definitely different kinds of app games for phones or computers or iPads or whatever you're using, so you can play a game. Ask fun first date questions. I know a couple of the speakers on the event gave some first date questions, but I just did a Google search while I was preparing for this today. And I've also taught about this with my private clients and Mr. Right Academy clients. And there are so many really, really fun first date questions out there if you just do a Google search, and maybe having a few. I'm not saying you drill someone with questions, but maybe having a few in mind that you might want to, work into the conversation could be a lot of fun.
I think it's a good idea to bring your own questions and ask him to bring his own questions, so that you're not answering the same ones necessarily, and you also get to see what he comes up with, what kind of questions are important to him to ask me. That's very revealing.
Good idea. Good idea. That's very true. And so there's a lot of different virtual tours or virtual concerts or museum tours or zoo tours or things like that are being offered virtually right now. That's something you could potentially watch or participate in together. Like right now on Zoom, Jill and I are on Zoom, but I'm also sharing my screen. If I had a video going right here, or if I had a virtual tour or a virtual concert going, we could actually be watching it even right now together. So this is not super sophisticated with the technology that's available for us today. But like I said, almost everything is figure outable if you go into Google and watch videos, even if you're not really techie. And Zoom right now, of course, has boomed in terms of usage, but it's pretty user-friendly, even if you're not super techie. So that's a fun thing you could do. You could attend a virtual concert event or take a tour of something together. And there's tons of that free right now during Corona. A lot of places that were charging in the past are now offering these kinds of things free, is what I'm saying. You could work out together. You could have a workout routine on somebody's iPad or computer if you're sharing a screen, or you could both be on, if you have stationary bikes or treadmills or whatever, you could be working out together.
I think that's a great idea. I used to do CrossFit. I could imagine doing a CrossFit workout with somebody.
Yeah, you could have a little friendly banter going while you're doing it.
Oh yeah, competition.
Exactly. I don't want to take you on, Jill. I know about your swimming in the ocean. I don't think I'm going to keep up. All right. Have some appetizers or share a meal. I mean, I've had one client tell me that her and her date, they decided they were going to have more or less kind of like a nice restaurant meal, like the version of a nice restaurant meal virtually together. So she put candles on the table and they showed their food back and forth. And she said, mine looked prettier, but just saying, you can get creative with this kind of thing. It can be really simple. Like you can both say, let's both come up with an appetizer and then share it together at 7:00 tonight. I don't know. I mean, it's just getting creative. But again, it's a way to have some fun and have a conversation and still maybe share a little something over the internet virtually. Don't chew with your mouth open.
Yeah, good one, please. It's more than men. Well, it's a good test, right? You can see if they do.
It's a good test. Yeah, exactly. You could plan a future date or a weekend outing. Like for me, I don't know, whenever I'm like planning a little weekend outing or a trip or even like a date I'd like to do, for me, a big part of the fun is actually the planning. So you could actually like share notes or talk about things you were going to do if, as you're getting to know someone better, and if you're planning on continuing, you can plan something for the future. You could share some passages or ideas or just favorite books in general, a favorite poem, whatever. Songs, you could make a little playlist together. Like you could make your first date playlist together. I mean, there's just a lot of different fun things you can do. So those were just...
Or playlists for each other, like surprisingly.
Right.
Create, like, especially once you get to know them a little bit, you could go, oh, I think you'd like this and this, and then see what he picks for you. And even just a song a day is fun, just sending, like by text, a song for that day, like here's what I'm feeling about you, or I think this would motivate you in your workout today, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's fun too. Or, this song reminded me of something we talked about, such and such thing that we talked about or whatever. So you could have some fun. So the opportunity here, I think, is to get really creative. And I know a lot of like business events are happening over the internet. I know a lot of virtual happy hours are happening over the internet. I mean, I know this from what some of my clients are sharing with me, that they're really having some fun with this. And so we're just trying to kind of inspire you to consider, even if you don't feel like you can meet someone in person, if you can still do that zag when everyone's zigging, or a lot of people are zigging and saying, I can't date right now. If you can zag and try something new, this could be a lot of fun. I also think this is a way to make you stand out. If you're really creative and the guys are having a great time with you, I think this is a way to stand out in a favorable way. What do you think, Jill?
I agree. I mean, it reminds me of a date I had a while back. It was a guy I was seeing here for a while, and and we played dominoes and sipped on tequila, and he helped me hang some art in my new place. And he said later, like on this, several dates later, he's like, that was so much fun just playing dominoes with you and hanging art. And I don't really like to hang art, or, and I'd never played dominoes. And it was so simple, just hanging out at home. And that's what you can do online together too, are things like that, where you're just hanging out and being yourselves and spending time together like you would in person if you were dating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, one of the things that men have told me, because as many of you know, I've interviewed, 150 men at least over the last few years through my man panel events and that sort of thing. And one of the things men have told me is that, one of the things that really attracts them to a woman is when she's fun to be with. I mean, they want a fun life. They want someone that's going to, just like we do, enhance the quality of their lives and is going to be fun to be around. And so when you show up with some creative ideas or do something that's a little bit different and it gives them an experience that they might not have with someone else, as opposed to just sitting there and just chatting, that's fine sometimes. But creating something experiential can be a lot of fun and can create that kind of a connection that they might not experience with just talking for a few minutes face to face.
Yeah, it's like that lightheartedness. I worked for Great Expectations for 9 years and interviewed, I think I calculated it was like over 6,000 singles in that period of time in like 7 different states. It was a lot of people, and probably 60% of them were men at least. And I totally agree with you. And they like lightheartedness, they like playfulness, they like things that when they get so busy, women just tend to be able to do that easier sometimes. It's like we can be more playful and more bring that out of them, and they love that. And I think that comes to back or kind of what you were talking about in the beginning of live your best life. When you're happy from within and you're having a great life, even in COVID right now, even with everything that's going on, if you're improving yourself, like I'm doing a cleanse right now, I'm increasing my distance swimming in the ocean, and I'm working on certain things for me that just feel really good and really healthy and wonderful. And so, I will have even more to bring to the table because I'm feeling so good and strong and fit and healthy, and just that's important. So we can really make the most of this downtime, and while we're meeting men online, why not? And doing things for ourselves and helping other people. It's kind of and a lot of people are still working. Like I'm still working full time, and Michelle is too, obviously. So, and I know probably a lot of you on the call are too. So, but you might be working from home when you're not used to it. Where I always work from home, so it's my norm. But just have fun with it, be playful, and live your joy, because men feel that and they love it, and it inspires them and they want to be around that. So it's important that it's natural, it's genuine, and that you are taking care of you. So it just radiates out and they just want to feel it. They want to be part of it.
Absolutely. Hallelujah, sister. You're preaching my gospel there. In fact, I talked a lot about this in the opening event, about how it's such an opportunity and an important time to consider, who you are and who you're becoming. And it's even an opportunity to kind of assess, is your life, if things have slowed down a little bit for you, you can also kind of assess, am I going in the direction I want to? Is there anything I want to pivot into? Or is there anything I want to put more of an emphasis on or more a priority on as we move out of this, as the restrictions begin to lift? This is going to be a process, but what you're talking about, Jill, is you're doing those things that make you feel good, that help you to feel like you're even bringing even more value to the table when you're meeting someone, and you're feeling more confidence. And that's an incredibly attractive quality. I think you're going to back me up on that one. Right?
I will say that confidence is, and I got this from all those interviews too, and it's just confidence is more, and I remember it was like psychology class in college or something, that they actually had done studies to prove that confidence was more attractive than actual physical looks. And I think that's really important to remember as women, no matter what size we are. We all gain weight, lose weight. It's like, or at least most of us do. I won't say we all. Some people don't have any challenges with that. It's always been a little challenge for me, ups and downs, and
Me too.
yeah, most women. But it's like no matter where we are, when we love ourselves as we are and we're confident. I mean, like me, I did a COVID haircut. This is my COVID haircut. And it's like, oh boy. And here I am going to be on this thing tonight. And oh, well, what the hell? And, but it's like, it doesn't really matter. It's like, still I can, even if I think my hairstyle's, ridiculous, it's like, I can walk down the street and be confident and happy and joyful, and men will still be like, oh, who's that? And be interested, even if I'm overweight, underweight, whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's me and it's my soul emanating out, vibrating, and they feel that energy. They feel that good, happy vibe when I'm on, and I'm like, yeah, I feel great. And, I don't always feel that way. When I do, I notice the reaction and the difference of how people respond. And it's just a pure innate joy and love and like an innocence almost of just my soul emanating out. And I think that's really wonderful when we can tap into that and just share that with the world. And we are so much more powerful than we oftentimes remember or realize. And when we remember that, because if you're vibrating at a high frequency and you're feeling love, you're emanating love, it's like everything's vibrating and then it just goes out, and it's like, think of the law of attraction, and it attracts the same. So it's going to attract love, positivity, and it's also going to influence other people and whoever's around. And quantum physics now is proving it can influence for miles. It can influence the whole planet, for that sake, because we're all connected. So when you raise your energy and your frequency, I mean, think about all the people that are depressed right now and sad, and just maybe some of you have gone through that. So do everything possible, meditate, get in nature, put your feet on the ground, do things that you love, that, maybe it's art, just really, and think about maybe what you want to do in the future after all this, and really think about that and plan for that. And then you just start, you can help this whole thing. You can help the world by raising your vibration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in the beginning, when we had our initial opening event, we talked about, are you going to be in that place of fear? Or are you going to be in that place of love? And when you're vibrating, what you're talking about, that energy, you have a different vibration. People are going to feel you differently. They're going to experience you differently, and you're going to attract different people that when you're in that vibration of love and feeling that energy than if you're in that vibration of fear. And in addition to that, the fearful thoughts, the fearful words, or the negative things that we have and that we all battle at times can actually weaken our own immune systems. So it's also supporting your own immune system through this experience, as well as helping you vibrate on that higher energy level to attract better, higher quality people into you. And I agree, Jill, so much with what you said. I feel like we can also have an influence on the world around us, on other people around us, both seen and unseen. Like the way we show up, we might not even see it or know how far reaching those effects are of how we're showing up in the world. And I'm just saying, for those of you that are here, I think I shared this on the opening event, like I want to make a global pandemic of love. Like, let's like be out there and like be shining the light in a way that other people could feel it and be inspired, not by so much even what you're doing, but by who you are. Like this is a like who you are kind of thing. This is not something you get to fake. And another thing you touched upon, Jill, that I think is also really important is like tapping into your passions, those things that light you up, that make you happy, those things that you can do that are going to make you feel good. Because that's another thing men have shared with me, along with confidence, along with the fact that they want someone that's going to, provide them the kind of life experience they want to share. and have fun with. The other thing that men have shared with me is that they are really taken by or attracted to women who are really lit up by their passions, who are following their dreams, who are being led by their hearts. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on tonight, Jill, because I think what you're doing, you know, some of the transitions you're making in your own life or have made in your own life are kind of representative of that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, you might want to tell a little bit about your story, how you decided to move here and what you feel inspired by there. I know you do a lot of these water activities, not just for yourself, but with groups, and you create these experiences for people. You want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. It's a pretty cool story. I was living in Mount Shasta, and I'd been there for the last 11 years. And I really loved it. It was amazing, really high vibe, spiritual community. But I'm from San Diego, and I've lived on the ocean a lot in my life, Hawaii, Mexico, Florida, all over. And I really miss the water. It's like I miss the ocean. So I started bringing people. I've been bringing people actually on trips, wild dolphin swim retreats for years in Bimini. And then the boat that I charter started coming to St. Croix. And I'm a scuba diver too, and I always wanted to dive, other places. I'm always interested in diving other places. And I'd heard great things about St. Croix. So I thought, well, I'll take a group to St. Croix and try that out. So I did, and I really liked the island and the people, and I did it 2 years in a row. And the second time I was here, I started looking at houses for sale and thinking, like, what would it be like to live here? And I just felt guided and pulled to do it. And I was, in Mount Shasta for so long, that was the longest I'd lived anywhere in my life, that I'd settled in quite well and had 9 acres in the forest with the view of the mountain and my hot tub and things like that were just very comfortable and easy, and a whole community of friends and just, easy. And so to actually sell my house and buy one here and uproot everything and bring my 2 large dogs across the country in an RV with my good friend,
I bet.
yeah, with my good friend Bonnie, and then fly in a private plane. I rented a private plane just because I couldn't fly the dogs even commercially. They were too big. So it was just an amazing journey to follow my heart and do it and leave like the comfortable status quo place, because I want to swim in the ocean every day like I used to. I just miss that. And now I'm doing that. And even during this time, they closed the beaches for 2 weeks, but then they opened them again, thank goodness. And I'm walking like 5 miles along the coast, which is really beautiful with the dogs, and a good friend here now, and it's hard to make friends now, but I was making friends before all this started, and just having so much fun and enjoying myself. And I think it's important to follow that inner guidance of what we feel called to do, no matter how hard it might be. I mean, within reason, obviously. I mean, yeah, some things are just probably physically can be too hard if someone's going through some physical trauma or illness or whatever. But if you're not, and you're somewhat healthy, and you feel called or guided to move or be somewhere different or try something new. I mean, it can be as simple as, gosh, I've always wanted to paint and I never have. And so order some stuff online right now and start painting. But I think it's just motivating to, I guess, hear a story like mine where it took a lot, and I'm not even conveying like how much it took to get here. I mean, when I got here, I was exhausted. And then the house I bought has 2 houses. So one is a rental, and I just worked my ass off and renovated that, and with help. And, but I was just exhausted by the time I was done with it. It was months and months of work and stress and craziness, because I had this powerful goal. And if it wasn't powerful enough, I probably wouldn't have done it. I might have given up, but it was a strong pull and a strong spiritual draw to move here now. And I'm thinking too, it's like, especially during COVID, there's been high suicides here. The island people they're beautiful people. It's just it's a little different mentality than in the States. Well, a lot different mentality. And I think that just being able to be here, and when I can stay in that really positive mindset and vibe and just emanate it out, I know it's helping. I know it's helping here, and I feel like, okay, that's part of the reason why I'm here. Besides me getting my joy out of the ocean every day and that whole thing. So I don't know, is that basically, I don't know, is that what you wanted me to share?
Yeah. And I think, you know what, Jill, it's an example of what I kind of started with, where you weren't just interested, you were committed. And I think it's a reminder of, if you're really interested in having a partner and having a life partner and having love, that's one thing. If you're really committed, that's another thing. That's a whole nother level. Because that commitment and that vision of what you want is going to see you through the ups and downs and challenges that can go along with that. Just like you had all these challenges, and I know you said you couldn't even give us a full idea of what they were, but you had obviously some significant challenges of getting you and the dogs and uprooting yourself to this whole new place. But you had this dream, you had this vision, you had this call for that. And I guess what I'm saying is, I think there's a comparison with that, with the call to have love, to have that person in your life, to having a relationship. And interestingly enough, I've also noticed that a lot of times when we make a change in our lives, and that's why this is an opportunity to kind of reflect and see if you're moving in the direction of where you want to go in your life overall. Sometimes when we make a big change in our life, that sometimes creates new opportunity, and that's oftentimes when people actually meet someone new, that creates that opportunity for a relationship. Like, I know my husband had been living out of state as a result of some changes in his life, and him moving clear across the country, that created an opportunity for us to meet. Had he not been guided by things that felt right to him to make certain life changes, we'd still be living across the country from each other instead of now having been married for 13 years. So it's like, there's just sometimes, divine wisdom or inner guidance, or, something that can be calling to you. And sometimes it makes sense to pay attention to that. I'm just saying.
It always makes sense to pay attention to it in my mind. When I'm in that divine flow and I'm listening to that inner guidance, everything flows, everything's smooth. Like I fixed up the other house here so I could rent it out. And I rented it out right before this whole COVID thing started to a woman who works for FEMA. They pay top dollar. It pays for the whole mortgage and my utilities. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, and it's all, I didn't know any of that part would all happen. That just fell into place like so beautifully. And so much, like our whole lives can be that way, of just following that inner guidance, turning left here, right here. Do I move there? Do I, just listening. And when you feel that strong pull and you get that yes, then just do it. Just have fun and do it. And what the hell, why not?
So with that, Jill and I are going to also take a few questions, and we probably won't have a chance to get through all of them, but we'll breeze through as many as we can. And I'm just going to go to the Q&A box.
I just took a look at the first one.
Do you have one you want to take?
Yeah, the first one's actually that Tracy asked. She said, I feel like I need to expand my distance online dating, but I have a job that would never be appropriate to move. Is it even worth considering men who live a distance away? And yes, definitely, because oftentimes they will be willing to relocate. So it's not on you that you always have to do it. And especially on spiritual singles, you can actually, it's one of the questions we ask if someone's willing to relocate. It's on the basic about just the first multiple choice questions. So that's a really easy one to see. If they're willing to relocate, then yes, date them or reach out to them, even if they don't live near you.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Jill. And also, I've got a couple of clients that are like new to internet dating. This is a new experience for them. Maybe they haven't really done it before, or it's been a long, long time for them. And some of them are just kind of using this time as kind of like a way to kind of practice and kind of get back in the game in terms of having conversations and making connections, and are not even like focusing so much on the distance or if this could be the right man right now in this precise moment in time. They're just using it in that way. And of course, that doesn't mean you want to continue on something or invest a lot of time in something like that if it's completely impossible. But I'm just saying, depending on the circumstances, that might be worthwhile if you just kind of need to dip your toe back in the water, so to speak, or dip your toe in the water for the first time. Okay, let's see. Did I go to the chat? I think I went to the chat instead of the Q&A.
Yeah,
Yes, I did. Okay, I'm back in the right place.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. How do you encourage men to use Zoom for dating? I perceive resistance to this change. Do you want to take that first? Or do you want me to jump in?
Sure, I'll take it. It's not, they might be resistant to change, but I think the best way is just to ask them, after you've been emailing, and then I would do phone call first. That's like an easy way to break into it. Talk on the phone, and then ask them, say, hey, what do you think about a Zoom call? And that way you're not forcing it on them. You're not saying, let's Zoom, and, you're just being like, hey, what do you think about a Zoom call where we could actually see each other? And usually they're going to say, yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. Most of the men anyway, especially the ones on my site, they want that connection. They want to see you. They want the visual as much as you do. So I haven't experienced any resistance myself. So I don't think it's really as big of a problem as you might think.
Yeah, well, and I like the way you phrased that. In fact, Jill, you used wonderful phraseology there when you said, what do you think about jumping on a Zoom call? Because that lets a man feel like he has a choice. And when we say, what do you think about, that appeals to a man's sense of logic, which is usually where they reside. So actually saying, what do you think about, rather than how do you feel about, is going to resonate more with a man. That's a subtle thing, but I just wanted to point it out because you modeled it so well.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Next question. This is Peggy. She says, what are your thoughts when lots of men send emails saying nice pics and profile, text me? I reply, I'm old school, please text me. Then I never hear from them again. I don't want to pursue and hunt a man and feel men should reach out via phone for the first time. Any suggestions on what I can say to get them to text or call me first? Do you want to jump there, or you want me to jump first?
Go ahead.
So for me, I understand this, and I think I talked about this a little bit in the opening event. I'm actually kind of old school when it comes to this too. I mean, these days, women are like initiating all the time, and I think I modeled a way that I think you can initiate by making a comment, paying a compliment, asking a question. It's more or less like when you're first connecting, that's more or less like in my mind, the online version of making eye contact and smiling from across the room. You're saying, hey, I'm open to a conversation. You're not going to get rejected or get your head bit off if you approach. But as far as when they just compliment you and say nice pics or nice profile, text me, and if you're not comfortable with that, I believe that we all get to make the choice about what we're comfortable with. And saying something like, oh, how fun, so you show a little bit of enthusiasm, and then just say, I'd really love it, or I'd really enjoy it if you text me first. Or if they're offering to call, you can say, I'd really enjoy it and would like to hear your voice if you'd like to give me a call. In other words, you can invite them to step up into that if you're not comfortable, and you have the right to decide what you're comfortable with. People are all different about what they're comfortable with and what feels right and good to them. What do you want to add, Jill?
Not much. I mean, I would say a case-by-case basis. And I might text them and just say, hi, it's Jill, if they don't have my number yet, and then let them let them initiate from there, so that, okay, I bit, I'm texting you, and now let's see what you come back with. And if he doesn't come back with anything, it's like, go away. I don't have a lot of patience for that. And if they just say, nice pics, nice profile, text me, I wouldn't text them just off of, if that was all they said, I wouldn't text them at all. I would engage them in a conversation first, a written message first, because I'm not going to give my number to anybody right away. Number one, right? And number two, it's like, I want to know a little bit about them. I want to see how they write. I want to feel their energy through the writing before I feel comfortable enough moving to the next step. Oh, I have some good news too. Speaking of all this video chatting and texting and stuff, we're working on video chat to be incorporated in my sites. So, and we didn't really mention that, but and I'm talking about spiritual singles, but there's green singles, there's conscious singles, there's like a lot of different sites that all funnel into the same database that you mentioned in the beginning, which is important to know. So even though I'm saying spiritual singles, I know a lot of you women on the call are probably members on one of the sites. So it could be any site. They all share the same database. You only need to join one, and you automatically have access to all of them. So just to I like to clarify that when I'm on these type of calls, because it can be a little confusing. It's purely for marketing. I think it's an ingenious marketing idea, because I can target different groups like conscious and green and spiritual, different keywords, that sort of thing. And some are marketed by third parties. Natural Awakening Singles is marketed by Natural Awakenings Magazine, for example. So it's like great ways to market and bring more members into the database for my members and for the business. So it's truly a win-win. But as far as, so we're adding video chat into the site so that they will not have to release their phone numbers, any personal information, and they can do like this and video chat on the site, see each other just like Zoom at the same time, and talk back and forth as much as they want until they're comfortable. And, once you're comfortable and you're ready to give out your phone number, you're ready to release that kind of information, even your private email address, then fine, then do it. But not until you're ready, and not until you feel safe and good with that person. And if they're just saying, nice pics, nice profile, text me, I'm sorry, but that's like just stupid. Like, give me more than that. That's ridiculous. So that's my take on that one.
Well, I think there's some men out there that are lazy daters, that want to put in the minimal amount of effort. And I think it's okay to, as a woman of high value, set your standard that you're going to require someone, not in a demanding way, but in a, comfort level way, to have some conversation with you before you're going to be taking it to that next level. And I think some magic words to use are, I'm more comfortable with, or I'd enjoy it more, or I'd really appreciate it with, or what I'd really like to do is, don't be afraid to express your preferences. We can't. Oh, if someone wants to see your necklace again. Yeah, when I had the papers up, you can't see them. So Jill, talk for a minute so they can see your necklace.
Oh yeah, here we go. It's a seahorse. So it has a Larimar there and a blue topaz in the eye, I think. Here we go. Hold still. There it is. It was made by an artist here in St. Croix, handmade, and I just think it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Let's see. Who will be shown bigger on the computer screen? Is it a person who initiates the Zoom meeting? So with Zoom, you can actually have a split screen, or you can have it set up in different ways. But for a video date, you might want to have a split screen, or if you have it like we have it, like when I do my interviews, I have it so whoever's talking is full screen, or whoever is, and the other person who's not talking is small at the top, or vice versa.
We missed one, Michelle. Is there a way to have a filter on Zoom? Not that I know of. Do you know of that? I'm thinking like some sort of filter on the screen, or?
I don't know that for sure. Specifically on the Zoom software, But what you can do if you want to take it again to the next level is you can get like a camera that you can use with a laptop or that sort of thing. And a lot of times you can have filters or things like that on that you can use then with Zoom. So I think like a camera that you can attach to a laptop, I use these for interviews and things like that. This can be like $50 to $75. It just depends on what you want to do.
But I would say I would encourage women not to use a filter because you want it to be real. You want it to be you. And you want him to, when you do meet in person, you want him to recognize you. You don't want to have like some soft focus filter where you just look so beautiful and perfect. It's like, no, that's not real. So I would also just want to throw in that too.
Well, and that's a really good point, and it's actually another advantage to doing a little video chat. You actually get to see the person, not just whatever pictures they put out there online, because that's one of the biggest complaints for both men and women is that when someone shows up, they didn't look anything like their pictures, right?
Right, and you get to see their mannerisms. On the phone, you can hear their voice, and that tells you a lot about chemistry. And when you get to see them, you can usually tell if you have chemistry with someone when you're video chatting with them. I mean, you can hear their voice, see their mannerisms, how they move, how they smile, it's so telling. And it's really, really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And you can really make this fun. So I've had a couple of questions that are coming up in the chat rather than the Q&A. So I just want to quickly scroll through some of these really quick. We got where people are from the beginning.
While you're looking through them, there's one question I need to. What online dating sites do you recommend?
Oh, Jill, you better take that one.
I highly recommend my dating site, spiritualsingles.com. Especially, well, that's if you're conscious. If you're spiritual or you're green, you're environmentally conscious, greensingles.com. Again, join either one. You have access to all the same members because those two niches dovetail so nicely. So most people who are spiritual are environmentally conscious, and the majority of people who are environmentally conscious, I would say the majority, not all, but most of them are usually spiritual, not necessarily religious. So if you fall into either of those, that those are priorities in your life, then join my sites. If not, Match.com, Tinder, maybe. I mean, it depends what you're looking for. I don't know. I wouldn't really be able to. Bumble, the women pick the men. There's a lot of online dating sites. So there's some older ones. My site's more, I'd say we have members in their 20s and 30s, but a lot of members are 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. It's a little bit older skewed, but it's just a matter of if that's your priority, that's your niche. You're very conscious, spiritual, metaphysical, new age, whatever you want to call it, or environmentally conscious, green, a vegan, vegetarian, then you want to join my sites. If those things are not important to you, then just pick another mainstream site or another niche site that is your passion, whatever. There's fitness sites, there's Jewish, there's other religious sites, Jewish, Christian, all kinds. So I like the idea of a niche site if you have a passion, if something's important to you, then because everybody that joins that site, they're passionate about that. They searched out that kind of niche site to join. And so everybody has that in common. There's different gradients, different levels of it, but it's a common denominator that everybody feels is a priority. So that's what I would recommend, a niche site ideally, unless you just really don't care, you don't really have a passion, you just want a nice guy, you're kind of mainstream person, then like a Match.com or a Tinder or one of the mainstream ones. But you just, not as good as mine.
Jill, you have every right to be totally biased. And with my clients, with my private clients, I usually have them do one of the mainstream sites like a Match or that sort of thing, because there tend to be a lot of people in most people's areas, and then a niche site. a niche site like yours, Jill, or if they're Jewish, you know, it might be JDate or whatever the case may be, because I, like you, think there's value in having a niche site. And I also kind of like the idea with my clients, once we get one kind of up and going, to have something to compare with and not putting all of your eggs in one basket and getting a flavor for a couple of them and trying some new things. And so you have every right to be very biased towards your site. You have built it, you have the right. We're just going to go, let's see, our time is going really fast. We're just going to go maybe a couple more questions. Let's see. How do we find a park that's safe to meet someone? And that's going to depend on your area. I see a couple questions around here around how men are a little bit resistant to like Zoom or online dating, you know, virtual dating or that sort of thing. With some men, if they're a little bit older, it might be a technology thing. Like there are some people that are not very technologically savvy. So you kind of have to explore that. But I think there's going to be a lot of men that once they're willing to try it, and hopefully they will be, hopefully you can inspire them, are really going to enjoy it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Someone said we can't see what angle you're talking about. I think they meant as far as our selfie sticks.
Oh, probably. I don't know if I was on camera with the selfie stick. I don't think I was, so that's a good one. So here's the selfie stick, and I took my phone out, but you can just put it in like so, and then you hold it up. There, I'm trying to get in the camera here. So just so it's slightly above the head, not much. And on this selfie stick I can actually extend it quite a bit, but for a phone, you don't want it too far away because it's small and you want to be able to see him too. And you don't want to have to put on your readers or something to be able to see him if possible. So you can hold it close and you can just kind of sit here like this. Like if I were at a table, I could just kind of sit here and hold it. I don't know. It's I wouldn't want to do too long of a conversation like this, but it's certainly better than I've held the phone up like with my arm instead of the stick. And that gets to be old pretty quick for me anyway. It's like, all right, I already had my workout today. I want to hold the frickin' phone for an hour above my head to make me look better. So I would say selfie stick or Michelle's device is that's the easiest.
Yeah, and someone asked me what the name of it was. And it's just on Amazon that I got this, and you probably won't be able to see this, but I'll spell it out. It's called U, like the letter U, Beesies. It's B-E-E, B size, U B size.
Hold it in front of you. Yeah, there you go. We can see it. Hold it little. Yeah, there you go. We can see it.
This is the one. I mean, I just did a random search on Amazon because I wanted to be able to like record videos sometimes on my phone and that sort of thing because I'm starting to do more YouTube videos and things like that for my business. But I thought this is just a really great thing for internet dating because you can change the angle of the camera. You can, like your selfie stick, you can make it go up higher or lower depending on what surface you're using. It has a lot of functionality, and it even has this little remote where you could record a short video or snap a picture if you needed a little picture, a new picture for your online dating profile. You may not be able to get with the photographer right now. You might be able to get a decent picture from this using the angle we talked about. So here's the little remote control. So
does that angle towards you too? Because you have it setting. Does it? Well,
yeah, you can make it. You can make it angle however you want to. Yeah.
Like forward towards you.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I've kind of got it all, locked in place a little bit here, but you can angle it in all different.
So it completely holds the phone. So.
Correct.
Okay, good. That's great.
I don't know how well you can see it, but it holds.
Okay. Yeah.
It also can, this little part that's holding the phone can screw off, so it can also hold like a camera. It can double as a camera iPod if you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
I have no affiliation with this. I'm not trying to sell these. It's just an idea, just so you know. Jill, someone called the time of day you recommended the golden hour.
Thank you. I knew that's it. And this one's a really good one that I have, and I don't have any affiliation either. It's called a Fuge Tech, and it's remote. So I don't. If you haven't used a selfie stick, it's pretty cool. It has Bluetooth. You turn it on, you connect it to your phone, and then you snap the picture from here when you're taking a picture, or you can just hold it and use the video. And that way, you're not reaching up to that kind of defeats the whole purpose. So that's how it works. And it's just a great little device. And I take headshots with this whenever I want to take a headshot. I just use this, and they're great for your online dating profile because you can angle it and hold it a little higher, and you can take a bunch of them. Take like 50 pictures if you want, and just and I like to even make myself laugh, so I'll like make funny faces, and then I'll get to get a natural laugh. I'm like, I'm such a dork doing this, and I'll make a funny face, and then I'll laugh for real, and then I'll snap it. Or I'll think about the guy, like, okay, like my ideal man, I'll think about attracting him, bringing in that energy, and snap it, and like, this is for you, and snap, and that's a great method.
Yeah, well, I think we talked a little bit about that when we did your interview. And also, I can remember having a conversation once with John Gray. But one of the things he talked about was taking some fun picture of yourself here and there with a guy that you're getting to know, or a guy that you're dating. If you're having a great time, or you're just looking really happy, or like you're creating that energetic appearance through what you're thinking about, can be really inviting and really appealing. And so it can be a fun way to kind of flirt as you're getting to know someone better. Just saying.
Yeah, so, and that take a selfie together, and then you get to see how you look together too. And it's
oh,
fun too.
There you go. You could take one like while you're on Zoom together or something like that, right?
Yeah, totally. Or I used to, one time I was on a Zoom date, and he was in Australia, and we were dating for a while too, and and we would have challenges like taking funny pics, like if someone was like, you caught someone in a funny expression, and you like snap a screenshot, and we would like challenge each other to get the worst picture of each other, just for fun. Why not? It's just cute.
Yeah. Well, and Jill, I've seen some of your marketing emails where you put out these funny, cute pictures of yourself to make people laugh, showing a personality like that, just having some fun and not taking the whole thing so darn seriously every second of every day can create that lightness of energy and a different kind of connection, which makes it also fun for a man. Because remember, yes, it's important who you make a decision, ultimately who you decide you want to spend your life with, if that's your goal. But this whole love, dating, relationship thing is also supposed to be fun. And in the midst of that, you can lose, in the midst of this, not just COVID, but in the midst of dating and not feeling like you're meeting the right person for a long time, we can get this heaviness around it. And just like people feel that lightness of energy, people feel that heaviness of energy, which is not super attractive.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, oftentimes people will email me, and they've found the one, they met the guy, or and they're in love, they're married, or they're getting married, whatever it is, and they say, and through the process of it, I met some really, really great friends that they're still in touch with. Like, some of them have met like true soul connection friends, and they are so grateful and happy for that as well. And some people haven't met their one yet, but man, they've met the greatest people, or a business contact, all kinds of wonderful gifts. So when you have a Zoom date with someone, you never know. I just go into thinking, well, worst case, I'll just be entertained or entertain myself or whatever if it's horrible, right? That's the worst case. And the best case is it's my guy. And then anywhere in between, it could be anything. So if you just go in with that adventure of, I'm going in for an adventure, and like you said, not take it so seriously and just have fun with it. Like, the whole process can be fun. Why not make it fun? Because once you end up with your man, you're probably going to be done. You're going to be married, you're done, you're happy, you're set. So enjoy that process along the way, because you can, and it's your choice. And when we can choose anything we want in our lives, let's choose to have fun and make things more interesting. I mean, I can pretty much make anything at least interesting. I had somebody email me recently that was just really being a jerk, and a member too. And I'm probably going to delete his profile. I'm just like, really? It's just crazy. But it's like, I don't take it personally. I don't get offended. It's like, that's just a waste of energy. And it's just like, okay, where's that going to get you? Like, but
Yeah.
Why waste the energy?
Well, that's true. And that's part of being a woman of high value. You don't need to take on that energy, someone else's negative energy, if they're putting that out there. I think that's a definite case to delete someone. And, we didn't mention this, but another advantage of this whole virtual dating thing is if it's not going so well, it's a pretty easy exit. It's pretty easy to wrap it up. It's not like you're in the middle of dinner in a restaurant and it's a little trickier to wrap something up. So that's another advantage. The main thing that we're wanting to convey tonight is to invite you into this place of possibility, into this place of creativity, of being in that place of where you're really knowing and being aware of how you're showing up in the world, what you're taking a stand for. Hopefully you're in that place where you're showing up as a being of love. Like I said, it's more about like who you actually are, even more so than what you're doing, although that counts too. And also, being aware of what your big dreams in life are, what really matters to you, and are you just interested in them or are you committed? And if you're committed, then the invitation here is, in whatever way makes sense for you, take it to that next level. For those of you that are participating, I am incredibly grateful for the opportunity to connect with you in this way. I love doing this. I love the work that I do. I'm deeply passionate about it, as I know Jill is about her work. I mean, we are committed in our lives by what we're doing to help bring people together. And so we're taking a stand for you to have that love and that connection that you want in your life. That's something that is going to never go away, no matter what is happening in the world. Love will find a way. So our invitation for you is to take a stand for yourself in your life in whatever way makes sense for you. And don't give up on your dreams, because we've hit a pretty significant speed bump in the world. There is still a way to continue to move forward toward your dreams of love. I've been so inspired and so impressed by how my clients, my private clients, are still moving forward and making progress toward their dream of having a connection and a loving partnership in their lives. And so we're taking a stand for you on that tonight and for this whole event. And so we're really, really grateful that you decided to join us. And Jill, I'm going to let you have a chance to kind of give your last words. Not like last words. That doesn't sound quite right. Your last message of inspiration.
She's killing me off already.
No.
I know. Cancel clear. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And it's. I think love will find a way. It seems to be the theme of this call. And I think that's very apropos right now. And just to keep the faith and keep your heart open and yeah, don't lose faith. Don't get depressed. It's like it will be over soon, hopefully. And things might change a little bit, but I think there might be a big global reset too. And that could be a good thing. A lot of things could be changing up. Hopefully, like, education and healthcare, things are getting the spotlight that need to be changed. And this is, I won't go off on too much of that topic, but, as far as your love life goes, you have the time, you have the energy, you have the focus. So why not meet somebody online now? And then when all this rolls over, then you can go meet in person. You can, if they don't live near you, you can fly to them, they can fly to you, or drive, or you can meet somewhere in the middle and have a romantic weekend. And it can be a wonderful adventure. And after a month or two of online of video chatting like this, boy, you'll know each other really well, and it'll be really exciting to meet them in person. I mean, how cool is that? And so take the precious time to make the most of it and really get to know some people. And you can date a few at a time and, pretend like you're the Bachelorette and, weed them, right? And weed them out, weed them out and pick but be genuine, be nice. And if you do cut somebody off, tell them, don't just ghost them, tell them, why or what, in a really nice, loving way, that it's not a fit for you and you wish them the best. And, blah, 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 move on. So yeah, but anyway, just have fun and make the whole process a great experience for yourself. And and if you're not a member of Spiritual Singles or Green Singles, then by all means, I invite you to join. It's a wonderful site. People always compliment us on the quality of members that we have and the quality of profiles that we have. And it's just really a beautiful way to meet somebody.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jill. I'm so grateful that you were able to join me tonight. It was so much fun to be with you, and ladies, so much fun to be with all of you. And we hope that this has been fun for you and hope that it's inspired you, not just about the possibilities for virtual dating, but inspired you overall throughout the event and tonight about your love life and really going for what you most want in your life, because I know that having love in your life makes the best of times even better, and it makes the challenging times a little easier to go through. My husband says it doubles your joys and divides your sorrows. So having the right partnership in your life is one of life's greatest gifts and blessings. And so we are sending you so much love, so many blessings, so much joy, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.
Bye. Thanks, Michelle. Bye, everybody.